Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's Stourbridge Police's Policing and Community Together meeting. Thank you for the local authority for letting us use the Healthy Hub at Stevens Park. We've got a healthy attendance of audience at the meeting live, and hopefully there's people online watching. As I said, it's everybody's opportunity to hold us to account, ask what they think about local issues, something that affects them. You've got an opportunity to ask questions via Twitter using the username of @WMP and use the hashtag of #AskStourbridge. We're trying something different tonight. We're holding the meeting on a Saturday. Historically, we've always held these meetings on a weekday evening, and we know that some people work, they've got childcare. It's an opportunity to try something different, whereby see how many people actually engage with us on a weekend. We've got an option half an hour, 45 minutes to see what's going on. For people that don't know me, my name's Andy Holder. I'm the Sergeant responsible for policing of Wollaston, Pedmore and Stourbridge East. So here's PCSO Claire Hall. Obviously a lot of you know Claire because she's always out and about. And in the corner is PCSO John Kirk, and he's looking, so if he starts shouting up, he'll be looking at Twitter and seeing where the questions are coming from. When policing was established, it was we're for the people, to be policed by the people. So, you know, people are here to hold us to account and see what we are doing, and to make sure that we're focusing on what we should be focusing on. What have we been doing? We've been focusing a lot of our attention in Stourbridge town, around the Rye Market car park. We've had a great deal of graffiti and antisocial behaviour taking place on that location. We've stepped patrols up in those areas. We've engaged with a number of young people and recovered drugs, unfortunately, from that location. So those patrols are still ongoing. We've approached the local authority to obtain what's called a public space protection order, and we're fully in favour of that. But we need just to go through the evidence to see if there's enough to support that application. The plan being is to ban under 18s from being on the car park unless they're parking a vehicle to a vehicle to leave the place. What we find is we're having youths hanging out in the stairwells. That brings with them drug usage and graffiti. But if we find them in the stairwells, there's very little police powers that we've got to disperse them from there. What the action order would let us do would be to actually have an offence of whereby they fail to leave that and effectively police that area. We've been focusing upon car parking issues around Love Lane, Swinford Road on a Saturday and Sunday mornings in relation to the football matches that take place. There's been inconsiderate parking with allegations of speeding. What we've also done to tackle that parking issue is we've put a speed trap in, and we've invited local residents who've made complaints about speed to come and join us on that speeding campaign. And what's happened is the vehicle within the speed limit. So we've actually been giving a thumbs up campaign to safer driving, as opposed to actually people sometimes panic that they've gone through a radar trap.
It's probably difficult to speed up because of the bumps though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can't really.
The Swinford Road you can past the TA centre, it's a straight road.
Yeah, not so much Love Lane. Yeah.
But that's going to get even busier now. It's because I think I read in the local paper, I think our Stourbridge Football Club, the ground up there will be. Well, and there's going to be 6 like big investment in the pitches, so that'll be really, really busy, won't it?
I mean,
they're going to spend about 400 or 500 pounds on it, aren't they?
yes. I mean, they haven't. I think they're putting a car park in there for about
Yes, so that should help.
so many vehicles. What we're planning to do is go down there with the cones, etc., so we don't have people parking across the junction, making it a bit difficult for vehicles to turn.
Because you used to park the park or by the TA, don't they?
That's right, yeah.
So if we put the speed trap in there as well, we're
Just
effectively
be manual, just
yeah.
yeah.
And we want to educate drivers, but obviously if the speed is way excess, then the enforcement action
It's
is
not
taken.
a longer road to go too fast,
No.
is it?
And in fairness, when we did that speed check there, none of the cars that we checked were speeding, but the perception is, because it is a narrow road, it is actually excess speed, and I think that's something that people need to be mindful of, is when they're reporting excess speed, is take into account the size of the road, how close it is, because that perception, because we've had it when we've done speed traps on Enville Street in Stourbridge, we're going, how fast was that one? And come back and it's 30, and you're just thinking, it's your own perception at time when a vehicle's exceeding the speed limit. So we've been doing that, and that's one of our priorities for Norton. We've also had, we've also had complaints of speeding on Enville Street. We've done speed traps down there. Had some very good result chases from cars where people have run off because they're in possession of drugs. They've been caught and drugs recovered, and they've been issued with £100 penalty tickets for possession of drugs, plus the enforcement action for any traffic offences they've committed. So we have been out and about tackling those sorts of issues. We had burglary of the buildings, which is when your commercial premises have been broken into in Old Swinford. So what we have done down there, we've actually gone and approached the traders. We've targeted hardened premises, given crime prevention advice so that people don't leave valuables on display. And we've done that, an effective leaflet drop. We've also done what's called a 15-minute patrol strategy around that, whereby when we're on duty, we've been putting 15-minute patrols in, checking those areas, predominantly around closing times, to reinforce the crime prevention message. And it seems to have had no burglary of buildings reported in that area since that tactic's been put into place. So we've had some very good results there. Pedmore area with parking outside of Hamdingle schools, issues remain, but we're trying to work with the ambulance service and the fire service, a tri-service approach whereby the police, fire and ambulance go into the school, do a presentation to the children, advising them of the dangers of how their parents park, to hopefully get the parents to be educated by their own children and parking safely. And one of the tactics we want to do is encourage the children to write letters home to the mum and dad explaining how they should park, and see if we can get any better engagement. It's been tried in other areas, and obviously, but if that look at rolling that across other schools within our areas as a way of dealing with inappropriate parking. We're still being tasked locally, police-wise, to protect our most vulnerable people who suffer from domestic abuse, whereby we go and visit them to make sure that they're safe. We set up what's called a cocoon watch, whereby we ask the neighbours to keep an eye on them. So if there is any suggestions that domestic abuse is taking place, or the offender returns to the location, that they call us and that we can put interventions in place, because that's what we want to focus on, is protecting the most vulnerable in society. We still continue to look at vehicle crime. It's getting nicer outside. The temptation is people may park their vehicles, leave windows open, leave vehicles insecure, go out to the shops, leaving home windows open, giving somebody the opportunity. We want to put that message across: when you're leaving your house or your vehicle, make sure it's secure, lock your windows and doors, don't give anybody an opportunity to come and take your belongings that you've worked on. Yesterday we had a bit of fun. the students left college. They were dressed up in fancy dress, quite rightly so, celebrating success in their exams. But they did decide to hit the pubs in the town centre. We're all in favour of people having fun. We're not damp squids and want to kibosh anybody's plans to. But it has to come with being sensible, appropriate, and that they don't get themselves into trouble with their drinking. So what we did yesterday, we went and visited all the licensed premises. We spoke to the designators, or the licensees, reminded them of their responsibility. People are intoxicated, not serving people under the age of 18, and actually conducting ID checks. We also visited the off licenses. So if under 18s had got diverted from the pub, they didn't take the opportunity to go and visit supermarkets or other shops to purchase alcohol to go and drink over the park. Everybody seemed to take that on board yesterday very, very well through as we did numbers. It appeared to be that everybody had a safe, enjoyable night last night, and very few incidents reported on the town. I understand one person was arrested for drunken disorderly, and I don't think it was a student. So that seems like they've had a successful night. We are aware that the Hagley schools are planning to come to Stourbridge next week at their exam. So what I've done is actually took the opportunity today to write to both Hagley RC and Cambridge School to put the message out that if students are coming to Stourbridge, please do so. Enjoy yourselves, keep yourself safe, bring ID. Don't bother because you're not going to be allowed entry into the premises. And be responsible for your actions and actually remind them actually stupidity could have a long-lasting effect on any chosen career they wish to pursue later on in life. So from the schools, which I'm sure they will do, into the students just to get them switched on to be responsible with alcohol. Last night was a very successful evening on the Nights on Economy from the students' perspective. So we would thank them for their behaviour last night because they didn't really cause us any issues at all. What else? Is there anything anybody wants to raise from the floor?
I think it would be nice to see you around the streets a bit more often. I know you say you're understaffed, but it doesn't vary.
And I think it's, I suppose, prior to the meeting commencing, I explained to you a lot of the work that we now do is actually policing private dwellings as opposed to that's where our most vulnerable people are, where we're looking at domestic abuse, on child sexual exploitation. It's key that the West Midlands Police protects these people that are in vulnerable situations, and it's sometimes that these people in these situations are in private dwellings, and that's where we've become focused upon policing private dwellings as opposed to, as I said, the crime figures for last year, West Midlands Police, Dudley Borough is one of the safest areas in terms of crime. Stourbridge is in the borough, therefore that Stourbridge is the safest place in the West Midlands. That's something to be really proud of. Comes with that success is if there's more pressing areas for policing need, officers to those locations to protect the most vulnerable. And I think anybody can probably see that reasoning and rationale behind them, that actually if there's areas with a higher demand of crime or public protection requirements and is there anything on Twitter, John?
You mentioned the speeding.
Yeah.
Sure. There are areas, somewhat speeding.
Yeah.
Course lane.
Yes.
It's supposed to be 30, 40. Actually, it is 50. Sure, that 40 is too fast for that area. With any events coming up as well.
Again, that would be down to authority to look in that speed limit to see if that speed limit is the area.
So we have to approach council.
Yeah.
Right.
We enforce set the speed limit.
There is another issue actually in the garage on Racecourse Lane corner. We have the roundabout.
Yeah.
When we've had this before, they tend to park on equipment,
Right.
which means anybody walking there, some 2 or 3 times, we have to walk into the road.
Right.
Doesn't happen every time, it does happen sometimes. I wonder whether maybe you could call into the garage and just say, look, could you tell your partners not to park? Because people have got to walk up and down.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we can do.
Probably reinforce that with a letter as well
Yeah.
to the garage to get that message across.
If you could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, fantastic.
So,
Perhaps I'll take the point about the speed limit on Racecourse Lane. Sorry?
it's 20 on the pins.
Does it actually say 10? So there is that speed limit.
But it says 40.
It's not enforceable speed.
Is it advisory?
It's not an actual speed limit. It's how they recommend.
Oh, yeah. It's an
There's a
advisory.
40 sign that's actually coming to the lane themselves. Actually coming in fairways, it says 40 there.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You know, if we could get that out.
I mean, that's what a really good point actually is we're trying to identify a group of people to come together to form a street watch to do a community speed watch. So when we're not always going to be available, whereby if we can give the people the training and the equipment to use to actually go out and test the speed of vehicles, record those down, pass those details on, and then we can take the appropriate action with them. And we're putting that appeal out for people to come and work with us as part of the community to tackle these speeding issues. If anybody is interested or knows people who may be interested, please come and contact us, and then we can take that further. I've had a complaint of speeding on a Wednesday evening on the Norton Road with the motorcycles going out, but it's certain Wednesdays of the month. So we'll look at, in conjunction potentially with West Mercia Police, to see what we can do for that problem. We've also had issues of the no right turn on Heath Street. The local authority have done the markings on the road, but people continue to turn right out of Heath Street. So that's something that we'll be looking at. So if people are at home, please bear that in mind, that enforcement action will on failing to comply with the no right turn on that sign there.
The speeding on Norton Road in the early morning, when I've been walking up there at 6:30, it's horrendous. Overtaking out of town and screeching to a halt to go down Racecourse Lane.
Right. If that's the case, then we'll need to review that with our response team colleagues who work from Briley Hill to see if they can do some patrols at 6:30 in the morning. That's beyond our, but we can request resources to come in to have a look at that specific problem.
You talked about priorities changing earlier on. You mentioned child sexual exploitation. I think it was in the paper that Dudley Borough was being compared with Rochdale, was it? The issues that they've had. I wonder, is there like a task force being focused directly on that particular issue?
With the unit, and within their arena is a child abuse investigation unit, and they will focus on the child sexual exploitation. But it's down to everybody's eyes and ears. If they've got concerns about children and activities that are ongoing, put it into the police on 101 or via Crime Stoppers. It's everybody's responsibility to protect the children, and we want to really push that message that we are here to protect in society. So any concerns, don't be afraid to phone 101, at least then it can be investigated. In terms of child sexual exploitation in Stourbridge, there are no issues of child sexual exploitation that's raised with us at the moment. I'm not saying there isn't any taking place, none have been reported to us at the moment. So that's important if people are aware please feed it into the system so it can be addressed and looked into. There are areas within the Dudley Borough where child sexual exploitation is being looked at, but at the moment, highlighting that Stourbridge, people's minds at rest around that issue.
I don't think Stourbridge.
Yeah.
Going back to the race course, like, they did used to have a weight vehicle for the trucks, because you get some big trucks come down there. I nearly put the other day.
Yeah.
Too fast. But there was a weight restriction, but it's gone now. It looks as though anybody can use it. There's no restriction for the heavy goods vehicles, or even
Right.
But there used to be one, didn't there? Yeah. They said no.
7 times.
Yes, it was, and that's gone now, hasn't it? And so they all cut the corner off, and
Again, that would be something for the local authority to review to see if that weight limit needs to return.
Raise the local council issues.
Yeah.
Because there was one point that I could raise, and that's the old Swinford junction, where you've got the lights.
Yes.
And if you're walking up Heath Lane, we brought this up before, and you want to go across the Stourbridge junction, you take your life in your hands, because the lights change, so the car's coming towards, but then the car's coming from you, and the car's coming up the lane, so you round across. You've got traffic from every direction. Is there no way you could have a projection button, for instance, so people could cross that junction?
Sufficient pedestrian traffic in that sort of zone. You have to have a certain number.
Crazy, isn't it? So you just take life in your hands.
There is the pedestrian crossing further up, just past the birding.
Yeah.
is that junction opposite Merchant? You know, opposite Merchants on the corner. One you, or is that's the
That's
one
the
where they
one
go
we're
always
talking
go right, left, and
Yeah.
they're not supposed to, aren't they? That's the one. Yeah.
So it's as you're coming out of Heath Street, it is a left turn only.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I've gone left, but
Yeah.
they do come out and go right,
Yeah.
and you can't. I can't remember. You can't turn right east.
No, you can't.
And they do.
Yes, and there's enough roundabouts, in fairness.
Yes, to and around. No, that's right.
And I think there's a bit of laziness in drivers there. So, as I've said, we will be looking at that and taking enforcement.
I think in fairness, if you're coming from Stourbridge,
Yeah.
and you say you can't turn right into Heath Street, but he's going to that next island, that is a tight island,
It
it's
is,
really
yeah.
not much of a car. So I've got a small car, but it's tight.
There's a few near misses on that.
There is.
There was that car that hit the lamppost and it fell off. Yeah, wasn't there?
Yeah,
hit
it was
the
last year,
lamppost.
wasn't it?
So that must have been going fast and it went across the road, hit the lamppost and the shots, didn't it?
No, I missed that.
Oh, yeah, some time back, a few months ago.
I mean, we've, as part of our lighter nights, we've been focusing on the park, and it's good to hear that the crime in the park and antisocial behaviour reports in the park haven't increased. And it's quite good having the meeting here tonight, because we're actually having it in the middle of the park where historically young people have congregated. But this is a police presence while this meeting takes place, and that may be a visual deterrent. So,
But they have gone bonkers in the park, haven't they? They've chopped down all the trees. So
that's not the young people, that's the
Nature regeneration project, so I can see them. Trees will be replanted.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
Every 3 million
Oh, right.
and just for people at home, it's not the young people who've chopped down the trees, it is the local authority.
I wonder if the police could send a letter to Redhill School, a letter to ask the students not to put string across the
We've
games with cars.
We've had an incident with by 5 of their students were throwing items into the road and caused a collision. We're taking action there with those 5 young people. And then we will be going into the school to deliver that message about road safety, putting things on the highway and the serious consequences that it can cause. and using those as an example, we would also raise that point that you've just raised. Thank you, Councillor.
If there are any council issues on your local law council here, I'll be happy to take any details.
Anything on
One thing, so,
no?
you know, I'd love one. Is what coming to the near centre.
Mason,
No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
it's just gone to the clear down. We've tried to finish the layout. Breaking. No, we let the property into every way that was
secure.
something like that. That's just been left.
Right. Okay, I'll find out.
Going back to the Northern Road, we mentioned about speeding. There's only very limited signs there, isn't there? There's one at the end, it's in Stourbridge, one on the any possibility couldn't perhaps have a couple of signs up?
No, because it's a 30-mile-an-hour road now, and the speed limit will be indicated by the lampposts.
Right.
You don't get repeater signs on a 30-mile-an-hour road. You only get repeater signs on 40, 50 or national. The 30-mile-an-hour limit is set there.
Often you see people ignore it, I don't see it,
Yeah,
and they just double down.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's probably a lack of people who've lived in Stourbridge all their lives. It used to be a 40-mile-an-hour road. They still perceive it to be a 40-mile-an-hour road with the 30. But in respect of having repeater signs, you won't find 30-mile-an-hour repeater signs there. Although I was driving through Worcester Bromsgrove, and they have a great system whereby they put the 30 stickers on the wheelie bins. So when the wheelie bins are out, so
But it's the normal road residents.
yeah, so it's especially if you've got the bin workers who are collecting the lorries who are out to the road, it's making them a safer working environment. And even if it was only seen once a week, they'd soon get the message that it's actually a 30-mile-an-hour road.
Those speed lights on the right distance in that north, because they were set up when it was 40. They've never changed the street lights.
I think the street lights probably will be, because it's the repeater signs go on the lampposts. I think that's why they've always been set as being the standard
When
gap.
it did change, they put the cardboard,
Yeah,
but somebody been taking them down. Because they was up on a night after
Yeah.
work. First thing in the morning, they disappeared.
it wasn't us.
You know where the old Grange school is, which
Yes.
is technology. Is that 30 there, right the way up to nearly Merry Hill? Because it used to be.
It used to be
I know
40.
the Thorns is
Yeah.
now
The
30. but
the speed limit has changed,
that's changed.
and again, it is well signed there. I think have they
There's
got
only 130 sign just to show after you've gone from the island towards the school. There's 130 sign, but there isn't. I haven't seen another one all the way to Thorns.
I may stand corrected, but
One on the opposite side of the road. But there's nothing as you're going towards Merry Hill.
They're painted on the road, aren't
they
they?
are painted on the road. I think.
That is horrendously difficult
That's
to
at the
do.
top of the Thorns it is, yeah, but there's nothing
But
there.
that's really, really difficult. As I said, I'm trying to do 30 down it, and then I'm going to go right at the island, and they come back. You know, it's really difficult. Yeah.
I think the problem is that the legislation is you do only get one sign. So that once you've turned into that road, it's about the drivers actually having an awareness as to say up to a road now, look for that sign. Because if you're coming off a side road onto that road and it's a change in speed limit from a 40 down to a 30, you'll get that reminder sign that you're actually entering a 30-mile-an-hour limit. And that's the driver's responsibility. It's not a case of meter signs up to remind everybody it's a 30-mile-an-hour road. That's about a driver's professional driving skills to acknowledge that actually when they've turned into a road or entered the road, they acknowledge what the speed limit is. And if in doubt, treat the road as a 30. You know, it's not a target. It's Yeah, it's a limit, and it's about driving within safe to do so at that time. Because we all know that at 30, sometimes it's not safe to drive at 30.
The farm along Racecourse Lane, my friend's farm, they don't live there, they live over at Chadsley. And the barn with the straw bales in, somebody had been in there and kicked all the bales down up by the reservoir and created havoc up there.
Yeah.
It'd be tragic if they were messing around with those bales and set fire or dealing in drugs or whatever.
Fire the one year, weren't they?
There was, wasn't there?
Well,
Was it?
Yeah.
The
Gates
gates,
are massive now.
so they
20 years ago.
it's all dead in come out this morning with the sprayer and followed him down there. I'm not sure whether the gates are still there, but the gate on the field opposite the cupboard has disappeared.
Yeah.
And it won't, I don't think he's going to put it back because it was a metal gate. I'm not sure whether the gate is up to
France. What we can do is we've got a great working relationship with West Midlands Fire Service. So when we've had locations of vulnerable potential for arson, we've actually asked the fire service to go and do their patrols, put fire safety message out to schools to stop that sort of ASB. And West Midlands Fire Service at Stourbridge worked really closely with us, patrols for us. We had instances in the Rye Market where they were setting fire to the paper off the ceiling, where the kids have set fire to dry grass down by the new medical centre. And we've asked the fire service to go and do anti-arson patrols and education. And they took that straight on board and we really appreciate our partners in the fire service going out and doing that for us. It's another pair of eyes and ears, so I'll pass that on to them to see if they're in a position to do any patrols around there.
timing on bales.
Yes.
They've only got, they will just spring open and they could be smothered.
Yeah.
The danger.
Yeah, with the fire service can probably put that message across better than the police can, because they're the ones who are going to have to go and do the rescue and identify the dangers of the bales. We'll pass that on to the fire service to see if they can assist us on that one. Thank you. Anything on Twitter? What our priorities then, like tonight, we're here, remains a priority for us to tackle antisocial behaviour. We want the park to be a place where young people can come and enjoy themselves. We don't want anybody to cause damage to the buildings or anything like that, or drinking and drug usage. So we've got plans afoot to tackle that, and that's part of our patrol strategy for this period. We continue to work on Stourbridge Town Centre in respect of, and we're looking at parking issues across the 3 wards and prioritising, seeing where we can work with our partners from the Road Safety Union, from the Fire and the Ambulance Service, as I've mentioned, to tackle inappropriate parking. We continue to look at vehicle crime, although we're pleased to say that there seems to be a significant decrease in vehicle crime. But again, as we're getting into the lighter nights, it's more and more important that people don't leave out, because they'll be easy to see in lighter nights. So if in doubt, put them out of sight and lock them away. Don't leave expensive tools in vehicles. Is there anything that you want us to focus on?
No, I was going to say, you know, the police helicopter, where does that fly from? Because that sometimes comes over the park, doesn't it?
We've got the police helicopters have now gone to a National Police Air Service.
Oh, right.
So we're actually serviced by one from Birmingham, and
oh, right.
So it's all part of the National Air Service now, as opposed to.
Realise that.
So we went through a change 18 months ago, if memory serves me right. So that's whereby we can call on more resources. So the final appeal is, obviously, we're looking for volunteers. Please contact us at Stourbridge for this community speed watch. let's work together to police the communities together to make it an even safer place to be. Right. Well, thank you very much for your attendance tonight, and have a safe journey home. Okay, good night. Thanks.